Energy Executive Director. Okay. Dr. Pompan Vorasayan, Senior Professional Electrical Engineer of Department of Alternative Energy Development and Efficiency of Thailand, as the Chair of the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Subsector Network, EEC Asean. Mr. Sudhir Sharma of United Nations Environmental Programme, UNEP for Asia Pacific Office. Distinguished guests, fellow colleagues, and fellow participants from ASEAN member states. A very good afternoon and warm greetings from Brunei Darussalam. It is a great honor and privilege for Brunei Darussalam to welcome each and every one of you to ACE UNEP United for Efficiency Workshop in association with the 25th EECSSN meeting this year being hosted by Brunei Darussalam. With the shifting paradigm towards energy transitions and energy security, where energy efficiency is regarded as one of the vital strategies, ASEAN member states require to continue strengthening and deepening the existing cooperation and integration with dialogue partners, DPs, and international organization IOs. On this backdrop, Brunei Darussalam truly acknowledge the collaborative work between ASEAN Center for Energy, ACE, and the United Nations Environment Programme, United for Efficiency, UNEP U4E, in the development of regional product registration database and national lighting roadmaps. United for Efficiency is a global effort supporting developing countries and emerging economies to move their markets to energy efficient appliances and equipment. The collaborative works between ACE and UNEP U4E would certainly benefit all 10 ASEAN member states to advance policies, strategies, and actions for the phasing out of inefficient air conditioners, refrigerators, and lightings, with the emphasis to fully focus on an integrated policy approach so that a transition can be sustained by the regional market without continued external support or resources. Brunei Darussalam will continue to prioritize energy transition and energy security as part of the priority under Brunei Darussalam ASEAN Chairmanship this year. In view of the growing concern of climate change as well as volatile energy prices, energy efficiency is regarded as one of the vital strategies for energy transition to support the region's sustainable development. As the upcoming chair of the ASEAN Ministers on Energy meeting this year, Brunei Darussalam will continue to contribute towards realizing the region's effort in low-carbon energy transition by focusing more on policy implementation in order to accelerate all initiatives and activities on energy efficiency. Brunei Darussalam, via the Ministry of Energy, is in the process of developing one of our important national policy regulation on standard and labeling order, emphasizing the use of energy efficient appliances and equipment by prioritizing on air conditioners, refrigerators, and lighting, which are in line with UNEP, ACE UNEP U4E primary focus. This workshop will be focusing on realizing the shift of ASEAN markets to energy efficient and climate friendly appliances. I'm hoping that this workshop will be able to explore the challenges and the opportunity and to explore more on the development of regional product database, the importance of data sharing, and the project cooperation on energy efficient lighting and appliances in the ASEAN region. To conclude, I sincerely wish you all the best for the workshop this afternoon. I believe your utmost participation and interactiveness in this workshop would deliver significant outputs towards achieving our goals in the development of regional product registration database and national lighting roadmap for ASEAN. Last but not the least, stay healthy and stay safe. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving right along, it is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Pompan Vorasayan. He is the Senior Professional Engineer, Energy Regulation and Conservation Division, Department of Alternative Energy Development and Efficiency, Ministry of Energy, Thailand, as EENC SSN Coordinator to bring the first opening statement.
Thank you. Mr. Abdul Salam bin Haji Abdul Wahab, Head of Sustainable Energy Division, Ministry of Energy, Brunei Darussalam. Sadia Sharma, United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, Asia Pacific Office. Dr. Nuki Akya Uttama, Executive Director of ASEAN Center for Energy. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Department of Alternative Energy Development and Efficiency of Thailand, as the EENC Assistant Coordinator, it is our great pleasure to deliver an opening statement for the realizing the shift of ASEAN's market to energy efficient and climate-friendly appliances workshop today. I would like to express my sincere appreciation firstly to Brunei Darussalam as a host country of this year EENC Associate meeting. I would also like to thank ACE and UNEP, U4E for co-organizing this workshop. With the coronavirus pandemic continuing to persist, many activities have been affected greatly, including this workshop, which must be conducted virtually instead. With the start of APEC Phase 2, along with the rapid changes in the energy landscape and technological advancements, collaborative efforts are more important than ever. The development of regional database, which will be discussed in this workshop, will prove to be a useful tool for the ASEAN member states to collaboratively share information regarding energy efficiency appliances in the regions and utilize them to improve their national energy security and sustainability, which will ultimately lead to a reduction in energy intensity in the regions, which is one of the targets under APEC Phase 2. In addition, this workshop will present the final lighting national roadmap and the model of the impact of energy efficient appliances for the ASEAN region. The result will prove to be a good insight into possible implementation in energy efficiency and help each country policy planning. Lastly, I hope that this workshop will serve as a platform for all participants to have discussion and exchange ideas. I wish us all a fruitful deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pongpan. Let's continue with the second opening statements. Now I would like to invite Ms. Sudir Sarma from United Nations Environment Program, Asia Pacific Office.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible. Dear Mr. Abdul Wahab from the Ministry of Energy of Brunei Darussalam, for Dr. Uttama from ACE, Dr. Pongapan from DED, distinguished participants. It is a pleasure in these challenging times to be in this workshop, which is very relevant for scaling up energy efficiency appliances in the region. I'm Sudhir Sharma, based here in Bangkok, UNEP's office in Bangkok, and responsible for the GEF and GCF projects in Asia Pacific, as well as facilitating the energy and climate branch work in the region. So as part of the United for Efficiency is one of the big programs of energy and climate branch across globe, including Asia. Now, energy and energy efficiency both are very critical to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. But as well as, and very importantly, creating the conditions to achieve globally net zero emissions by 2050. If you look at the recent reports and the NDCs that governments have submitted as part of the Paris Agreement, we still are headed towards a 3-degree increase in warming. Their actions need to be enhanced if we have to have a chance of limiting the increase in temperature to 2 degrees, or even trying to achieve not exceed the temperature increase by 1.5 degrees. Now, it is a challenge for developing countries. ASEAN is a growing region. and it will have to expand its energy infrastructure to meet the energy demand. The challenge is how, at the same time, it being also a very vulnerable region to climate change, can the countries take steps to ensure that regions meet the goals set out in the Paris Agreement? If you look at the various analysis, it shows that actually by the benchmarks are 2040, the countries should stop using coal as a resource for electricity generation. And very soon after, countries should start moving towards 100% renewable energy in electricity generation. Now, for these efforts to be possible, what is required immediately is for societies to move towards more eco-efficiency, to enhance the energy efficiency of buildings, lightings, various appliances, both in residential, commercial sectors, as well as in industrial sector. Without which it would be very difficult to actually start reducing the reliance that the region has on fossil fuels for generating electricity. It gives us a great pleasure at UNEP to see our collaboration with the Asean Center for Energy growing. They are an important center in the region to support the ASEAN countries in moving towards adopting higher goals for energy efficiency. And we are very happy that our program on United for Efficiency is having a close collaboration in taking this objective important for both the organizations forward. If we consider, and that's where I think we're trying to make this effort of working at a regional level, because the ASEAN has a very strong country cooperation amongst themselves, a strong trade linkages, and therefore a regional cooperation is very important, we feel, in leveraging the synergies across countries, in enhancing and supporting each other, in increasing ambitions that we can achieve. From that perspective, we see this workshop a very important one, because information is key to good decision making and a good assessment of are we achieving our targets or what we need to do more moving forward. So we see this as a very important infrastructure being created for a region that can help countries assess the success and try to achieve even more. On behalf of UNEP, Ms. Deshan Shering, our regional director, we would like to thank the Ministry of Energy, Brunei Darussalam, for graciously hosting this workshop and in these challenging times leading this very important work, as well as ACE for its partnership and for its leadership in the region in addressing these issues. DED, Thailand, also being an important partner in this initiative. We look forward to a very fruitful discussion and an interactive workshop to provide us even more ideas as to how we can strengthen this work and take it forward. Stay safe and take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. And for the last opening statement, I would like to turn over the microphone to Dr. Nuki Agia Utama, the Executive Director from the ASEAN Center for Energy.
Yes, thank you, Mela. Mr. Abdul Salam bin Haji Abdul Wahab, the Head of Sustainable Energy Division, Ministry of Energy, Brunei Darussalam. Dr. Pongpan Forasayan, Department of Alternative Energy Development and Efficiency, Thailand, and also as the Chair of ENC-SSN. Mr. Sudhir Sharma, United Nations Environment Program, Asia Pacific Office. Distinguished delegates from ENC-SSN focal points, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon to all of you. Going back to the 37th AMEM held in Bangkok 2 years ago, ministers endorsed the second regional policy roadmap for minimum energy performance standard for lighting after air conditioner, which was adopted in 2017. The related policy roadmap noted that the ASEAN Center for Energy, or ACE, would establish a regional product database for collection of product information and develop national lighting roadmap as follow-up action of the regional lighting roadmap. Addressing that commitment, ACE, in collaboration with United Nations Environment Programme, United for Efficiency or UNEP U4E, implementing the product registration system and national lighting roadmaps project. The project itself was started by an inception meeting on 19 to 20th February 2020 in Bangkok, Thailand, attended by the representative of the ENC and national standard bodies of the ASEAN member states. And following that, a series of consultation sessions were conducted with all member states to determine further the mode of harmonization between national and regional PRS and other matters. The result and plans of the project were then reported to the 24th ENC SSN meeting in July 27, 2020. The 24th ENC SSN meeting also suggested the creation of Technical Working Group or TWG on the product registration system development. Together with ACE and UNEP U4E, TWG was conducted 3 coordination meetings as well as several country-by-country meetings to discuss the development of regional system and its alignment with national system, including data transfer through API. On the national lighting roadmap, draft of national lighting roadmap for each member states have been circulated, reviewed, and revised. National consultation has been conducted as well. Hereby, I would like to invite all member states to further discuss and implement the product registration system and the national lighting roadmaps. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, in the 38th AMEM held virtually last year in Vietnam, the minister also acknowledged the collaborative work between ACE and UNEP U4E in the development of regional product registration database and national lighting roadmaps. We are continuing such activities towards its successful implementation in support of the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation, APAEC, which is under the APAEC Phase 2, 2021-2025, which is also endorsed by the 38th AMEM. ASEAN increased its commitment in energy efficiency, further reducing energy intensity in total primary energy supply to 32% by 2025 against 2005 baseline. While in 2020, the 38th AMEM noted the achievement of 24.9% energy intensity reduction, which is more than initial 2020 target of 20%. The Phase 2 of APAEC, retaining the theme of enhancing energy connectivity and market integration in ASEAN to achieve energy security, accessibility, affordability, and sustainability for all, and adopt the sub-theme, which is accelerating energy transition and strengthening greater innovation and cooperation. Such theme will be the spirit of our activities, including those of ENC, especially the first outcome-based strategy of ENC program area, which is expand, harmonize, and promote energy efficiency standard and labeling on energy-related products, which has 2 action plans: develop and implement regional and national policy roadmap for maps, and introduce monitoring, verification, and enforcement initiative, including product registration, database, testing infrastructure enhancements, which are being supported by collaborative activities between ACE and UNEP U4E, and also will be shared today. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, together, I believe that the collaboration between UNEP and ACE will contribute to the achievement of energy intensity target in APAEC Phase 2. Therefore, we also would like to kindly request your guide and support. In today's discussion, we would also present and share several other activities in energy efficiency sector, such as the modeling of the impact of energy efficient appliances in ASEAN, and also for your kind review and support. Last but not least, I hope that you can have an effective and insightful discussion today. So, sincerely, I wish you a good health during this pandemic period. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you very much, and back to you, Anela.
Thank you very much, Dr. Noki. Before we come forward and begin our session, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite all of you to turn on your camera, please, as we will have a group photo together. right, in 3, 2, 1. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Septia Buntara Supendi. He is the manager of the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Department from ACE, who will be the moderator for the first session, launch of Regional Product Database.
Thank you very much, Nela, for your kind introduction. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to be your moderator for session 1 of today's discussion. This session will be focusing on our discussion on the launching of regional product system. As mentioned earlier by our opening speakers, we have cooperation with UNEP U4E. A lot of things we facing together when we discuss with our TWG members. A lot of challenge, a lot of input that we need to time your guidance and support to have a very good database system for our region. Some countries are already started the initiative and actually already in pipeline for pursuing the regional database system, so we can have as a best practice for our database development as a regional level. I have a very interesting lineup of speakers here. For the first speaker, we will have a presenter from Mr. Rio John Peter Silitonga. He is a research analyst at the Asean Center for Energy. He has published a number of studies on green building, energy management, ESCO business, and other related energy efficiency program of ACE. He will be presenting about context of regional database development and use in ASEAN. Please welcome Mr. Rio. And Mr. Rio, the time is yours.
Thank you for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to share with you regarding information about the basic direction of energy efficiency under the APEC Phase 2, including the significance of product registration system developed under the collaboration between ACE and U4E and also UNEP. So today's this is my table of contents. My presentation will touch upon basic direction of the energy efficiency under the APEC Phase 2, also the significance of PR system for the ASEAN region, including information about how the system will be utilized for the sake of energy cooperation in the region, and also some key forwards under this program. For your basic background, just to share with you what actually the most maybe the current updates on the energy corporations in ASEAN region. So according to the outcomes of the 38 AMEM, there are several documents have been endorsed. The first one is the APEC Phase 2 under the sub-theme of accelerating energy transition and strengthening energy resilience, energy glitter, innovation, and corporations, including also the 6 IEO, ASEAN Energy Outlook, and also set of target on energy efficiency in particular to reduce energy intensity of 32% by 2025 based on 2005 level. And also there are a set of program areas, including target has been established. And for energy efficiency, the ASEAN agreed under the Phase 2 of APEC 2021-2025 to achieve energy intensity reduction by 32% in 2025 based on 2005 level. And there are some set of outcome-based strategies to achieve the target of reducing energy intensity at 32% by 2025. Here's the highlight: 5 main outcome-based strategy under the APEC for energy efficiency programs area. To expand harmonized energy standard by reach out the coverage on the refrigerator, electrical, and motor, and also so on, and also TV. and so on, and also to get greater involvement of the private sector and e-financing for energy efficiency project realizations, and also moving towards sustainable building by establishing a very holistic roadmap and some activities towards net zero building in the future. And also the APEC phase 2 also covered industry and transport sectors in order to increase the energy efficiency measures and also achievement in the sectors. We are glad to inform you what actually the progress of energy intensity reductions to date in the ASEAN region. So we are glad to inform that ASEAN has exceeded the achievement on the energy intensity target reductions in 2021, as we achieved in 2018 energy intensity reduction by 21.6%, and projected we can achieve 32.5% of energy intensity by 2025. So, but anyway, we need to strengthen there is a recommendation to strengthen the cooperation among the stakeholders in ASEAN, especially for energy efficiency, in order we can achieve more and also achieve the target of 32.5% by 2025. In terms of the basic direction of energy efficiency, there are several notes under the APEC phase 2 2021-2021. The first one achieved 32% primary energy intensity reduction in 2021. Expansion the standard harmonizations, and also to encourage more business forum to enhance the ASEAN NRD and investment and also research and development. And also need to strengthen cooperations in energy efficiency sectors, capacity building and sharing on best practices. On the database system, it is noted that the improvement of ASEAN energy efficiency database system is very important. In order we can really have educate data for policy making, and also facilitate exchange information and analysis in the future for ASEAN energy cooperation, in particular for energy efficiency and anticipations. And we keep continuing ASEAN sustainable energy management trainings and certifications. And also for the e-financing mechanism, it is noted that ASEAN would like to pursue more private capital involvement in the energy efficiency investment in the future. And also a new coverage on the transport and industry sectors to increase energy efficiency. In terms of the significance of ASEAN product registration system, as I mentioned earlier, this is a joint collaboration between Asean and UNEP in order to support the harmonization of the standards in the region. The overall methodology of this project, there are actually three main methodology for your kind reference. The first step, this project assess and also build up the framework by selecting what actually the register model for the product registration system, and also to define what the technical elements such as points, data points, and so on. And after that, the project with the support from partners, we develop software of the product registration system by development of the system, and also testing the beta system of the software in order we can really ensure that the data is working according to the. And it is expected by at the energy efficiency assessment meeting the next days, we're going to see the launching of the of this product registration system, including some of planning and arrangement how we can really implement the system in the future. So according to the product registration system, let me bring you back to the ASEAN regional roadmap for ER harmonization, in particular for AC. I think we've seen that ASEAN actually has been committed and have been implemented activities related to harmonization on AC. So in 2016, under the during the AMEM in Apido last time in Myanmar, we've seen this regional roadmap was endorsed, with 6 main components. The regional roadmap harmonize the testing method, and also evaluation method referring to the GSPF ISO 16358, and also minimum energy standard of 2000 watt per watt, and also ER 3.08 watt per watt GSPF, including the testing infrastructures. And also the fifth element is mutual recognition agreement. Under the regional roadmap, we've seen that it is expected that this MRS system will be established by 2020, and then the sixth element is towards one regional product registration system for the AC, and then not limited to AC, but in the future we can extend to other appliances such as refrigerator, lighting, and as well as other appliances. In terms of the benefits of PRC system to support standard labeling harmonization, so just to give some picture between a system between the condition without support from of harmonization standard, and also the one with harmonized standard on the right side. So we can see if we really able to harmonize. I mean, the ASEAN can harmonize, have unified standard by ISO 51000, unified evaluation index by ISO 16358, GSPF, unified MAPS value, and also moving towards a common rating standard and one ASEAN database. So these measures will be very useful to support the mutual recognition agreement, and also to move barriers on the trade towards ASEAN energy community goals. So this is the benefits that we have been seeing for the harmonized standard labeling system, and also how the PR system can support the harmonization initiative in ASEAN region. In terms of the contribution of the PR system that we are looking at from the PR system, just back to the existing ASEAN electrical and electronic equipment mutual recognition arrangement, or ASEAN EMRA. So this is the system where ASEAN has agreed how we have a standardized and also registered CB for the one can facilitate the testing of appliances, including how the ASEAN, among ASEAN member states, has a mutual recognition agreement to accept some testing laboratory testing tests that have been conducted both in domestic and also outside the country.
Hi, Mr. Yo. Sorry to interrupt. You will have 5 more minutes. Thank you.
Okay. In terms of the framework of ASEAN PR system, so this is a framework. This framework has actually we have presented during some workshops of this under this project, but just want to bring back this information again. This concept actually is supposed to develop for that has already existing PR system, including country that like to develop PR system, and the data features that we have seen. We can see the product characteristic of the appliances, including provision of comparison legislation of the product, also complement by product information with cell data, and unified units such GSPF, and also what and so on. In terms of data utilizations, I think we expect from these PR systems the data will be useful to support to identify the technical requirements that might be used by the certified CBs for mutual recognition agreement, including for analysis, future analysis for intervention on the policy, market mechanism, financial solution, and research. And also, we hope this data also will be supportive for data mining For example, to make a study or intervention on how to customer behavior in purchasing efficient appliances in the market as well. As the way forward, if we have a harmonization on the test standard, evaluation index, match failure rating standard, and also indication rails. So we hope that we can also really able to have a standardized output for MRE, monitoring and evaluation system, also analysis. But there's some concern that we have to take into account. For example, the issue if then we have manual input, so we have to think about the back end in the ACE side, what actually how to support the registry database in order we can really able to have some function, and also security information, including how we can really continue the operations after this project and end up in the future. So this is just some publications for your reference. We have the six ASEAN Energy Outlook 2017, and also private sector participations publications such as ESCO, Green Building Map, including energy efficiency financing. If you have a time, please visit our website www.aseanenergy.org to access the publication. It's for free. Yeah, this is my last slide. I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you. Back to Satya.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rio, for the very good perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, let's narrowing again a bit our information about this project. We hear a lot from the perspective and the regionality from Rio, and what is the perspective from the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation. The next presentation will provide you a better understanding on the development of the regional database system, the project which cooperated by ACE and UNEP, which will be presented by Patrick Black and Madeline. Patrick Black is a program management officer within UNEP's Energy and Climate branch. He focuses his efforts on the United for Efficiency, or U4E, and its activities in Southeast Asia, while Madeline coordinates with UNEP U4E regional projects on energy efficient lighting, cooling appliances, and supports the development of several tools and resources. Patrick and Madeline, time is yours.
Thanks so much, Satya, and good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Again, I'm Patrick Blake, working on the United for Efficiency Initiative and covering a lot of our work in Southeast Asia. But really, to get into the topic of today and the presentation, I'll be giving it together with my colleague, Madeline. So on the product registration work that we've been doing very closely together with ACE, it is with support from a few different funders that I just wanted to highlight at the start: the Kigali Cooling Efficiency Program, the Global Environment Facility, and also CEDA from Sweden. And this is part of a global level work, so it's not only in Southeast Asia, but we're also supporting other countries in Africa and in Latin America on product registration activities as well. So different exchanges of learnings from those projects, and also from Southeast Asia to those projects. So with that, next slide, please. For the presentation that we'll give, it'll go through a few of the main topics, including why a product registration is important and background on what it is. More details on what the ACE and U4E project is doing, and overview of that. And then Madeline will give an overview of what the ASEAN database, an overview of that and how it works, and really an interactive one, and take you through that. Next slide, please. So yeah, to start out, I'll take you through product registration systems and background on what they are. Next slide, please. So product registration systems. We see product registration systems as one of the very important first steps for MEPS and labeling projects for energy efficiency in lighting of appliances and equipment. It creates a database with product information, as Rio mentioned, and this can help inform policy development. So it includes information like type of product, size of product, efficiency of the product. It also helps to monitor which products are sold in the market and to inform on that to help ensure compliance programs. Of course, it's in order to do compliance, you need to know what is in your market, and that's really what a product registration system does. It places information on environmental impact of the products at the fingertips of the government. So they're really helping inform the climate impact of the products we're working on, and that of course can be helpful at the national level, but also in your reporting to the UNEP for the climate agreements. It also fosters economic development by reducing trade barriers and helping more transparent availability of data, and also encourages consumers to choose efficient products. It gives a greater availability of information on the products in the market, and that can be used for the end consumer. It can also be used for procurement programs and for qualified purchase lists. So that's a brief overview, and continuing on to the next slide. So here we'll take you through more on how does a product registration system work. So this is a very simplified overview, but to put some of the main steps within that. First, on the testing of the product, that the product is tested for efficiency and other requirements that are in place. Then that's input into the system, the product registration system, through an application, and that can be done by a manufacturer. It could also be done by a supplier or distributor, and that's put into the system. And through that, the manager or regulator would assess the application and either approve or deny it based on the information that was input. And then from there, it's approved for access into the market. And as I said earlier, that data, parts of that data can be shown to other stakeholders and consumers. And of course, not all the data, and we'll go into some of the what data can be shared and what is not. And then at the bottom of the screen, you also see how there's different approaches. And what we're really working together with ACE on is what you see on the left-hand side. So coordinating between several countries here at the regional level for a regional product registration database. And that brings together the different ones. We'll go into more detail on that. But of course, there are national systems, and as we've heard and we'll hear more on, several countries in ASEAN already do have systems. So it's really connecting those national systems at the regional level. Next slide, please. So from here, I'll give a brief update on the ACE U4E project and the status of that. Next slide, please. So just a brief overview of the project. It's as has already been mentioned, in cooperation with ACE, and it's for the development of a regional product database that connects those individual systems at the national level. It provides information and guidance. Our aim is to provide the guidance in that and to really guide the process. And through that, we've developed different tools that are available, including the development of our prototype product registration system for application in countries without a system in place. So in order to facilitate that process, that there is a database that is available for a country without a system in place. And then also development of different specification documents. And we'll go into more detail on that. So really, the focus will be today on the regional product registration database, and we'll go through that in the subsequent slides. Next slide, please. As far as the path that we've taken, and this dates back to last year, the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Subsector Network meeting, where the regional database, we discussed the model, and the model that we are proposing today has been selected through that. We then followed that up with different more technical discussions to go through really what's the requirements for the system, and really develop the system through there. And then today is really the important step that we're launching that system based on all the feedback that the member states have provided, and then that software will be available for implementation and also connection with the APIs that we'll go into more detail on. Next slide, please. And just very briefly, just to highlight some of the activities. So of course, we had an in-person meeting in February 2020 in Bangkok, and that's what started the process. And really, we went through and shared experiences from the different countries, and then also other countries as well. And that's where we started the process as far as developing the original roadmap for ASEAN for implementation of product registration systems. And next slide, just to close out on the activities. As far as the, we then, as I already mentioned, had different more technical discussions. We had technical working groups where really went into detail on the software development, and then also individual follow-ups with member states to address any specific questions for their country. So with that, that really summarizes where we've been. So it's been really for the since the Bangkok meeting in February 2020. So since then, it's been many technical discussions and ensuring that we have had the input from each of the member states. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to my colleague, Madeline, who's been leading a lot of the work on this, and will take you into more details on the system itself. Madeline, over to you.
Thank you, Patrick and Madeline. When you hand it over to Madeline, just to remind you about the time, you will have 8 minutes for proceeding the presentation. Madeline, thank you.
Thank you very much, and I will try to be quick. So I would like to show you today what the ASEAN database actually is and how it works. And within a part of my presentation will be as well a walking through the system here through the screen sharing. So what is the database and how does it actually work? Here you see an overview of the database, and that's really been built on several technical consultations, as they have been mentioned earlier by Rita and Patrick. So how it works is that there are existing systems in the countries, existing national product registration systems, and those existing systems, they will continue to operate as they are today and as they have been operating, meaning that if a product arrives to a new market, the product is going to be continued to be registered in the PRS. But what is new is the development of the regional database, which collects, as the name says, database data from the national systems. And that data connection, how that works, it works through something that is called an API, an application programming interface. And all what that basically is a software that allows two applications to talk to each other, meaning to talk or to transfer the data from the national systems to the regional database. And so that software application or that API really needs to be installed by the countries themselves. The reason for that is that it has to be directly installed in the system. So the regional system or we from our side cannot touch the system. The system is really yours, and you have to install that connection. We will hear later a presentation about how to do that, but just to tell you at that point, it's really a standard thing for a software developer to do, and won't take long at all. So, and the regional database, who has access to that? It's really restricted access, so the data is protected, and who has access is on the one hand ACE, who will manage the database, and then the regulators from the 10 countries. So why are we doing actually all that? What are the benefits of that? So the benefits are, on the one hand, that with access to that database, you will know as users what products are actually allowed for sale in other countries. So you will know what is going on in your neighboring countries and what is going on in the region as a whole. And as a part of that, you will be notified when, for example, also a product arrives in other countries, or when a product is revoked through a product registration system in another country. And I will give you an example for that in a minute. And as Rio mentioned as well, another benefit is that it facilitates the application of mutual recognition agreements. So that's really one of the key benefits as well. So ultimately, what the software really does, or what the database really does, as you know what's going on in the region and in your neighboring countries, it helps the region to adjust the policies better. And through that, you can then create synergies in transforming the market to energy efficient products, for example, through harmonizing maps. But let me now show you an example of what can be one of the benefits of that database. So here you see again, as I just explained, the data from the database comes from the national countries and will be then transferred to the database. So now, for example, let's assume, and Thailand is there really now there for no reason, just as an example, but let's assume now that a new product arrives in Thailand. The manufacturer or the importer applies for access to the market in the national product registration system of Thailand. Thailand finds that for some reason the product is not compliant with their national registration. With the national regulation. So Thailand says the product is not compliant in their national system. So what happens now? What happens is that the information that the product has been revoked will be transmitted to the regional database, and then other countries will be notified that Thailand has revoked a product. And with that information, you might, or the other countries might rethink, do we maybe want to readjust our policies, or you want to evaluate how you want to adjust your policies in your countries. But to give you more of an insight, I would really like to walk you through now the database. Yeah, so here you see that's the database itself. You see the database, and how I would like to walk you through is just to do a quick, let's say 4-minute walkthrough, and I would just take you through those different tabs that you see up here. One of the most interesting parts is probably that product tab. So here you see an overview of the data that had been transferred from the national systems to the regional database, and that is all dummy data. So that is not, as it's not connected yet to any system, that's really just any data. But if you input there some dummy data, so you could see how it works. So that is as it's just said, that's the data that will be coming through from the national systems and from the API that you have installed in your national systems. And that is here just an overview. And if you click into here, you can see the whole data, or the whole set of data that has been sent to the system. So what you will see here is on the one hand general data, and then you will see here as well product detail data that will of course change for each of the products. So here you see the air conditioners, where you have, for example, data on the ER. Then other products that we have within that system are refrigerators and lighting, so that data of course changes for each of the products. So let's assume here that Myanmar has sent through that data to the regional database. So what happens now if Myanmar says, I don't really want to share data of on some of the parts? For example, Myanmar doesn't want to share data on the brand name, and that's actually something that we've been requesting through the technical consultation process. Some of the countries have told that they don't want to share data on one of those categories. So if countries do not want to share it, that can be specified in the APIs that will be installed, and the part will just remain blank here. What happens if a country doesn't collect the data? For example, let's say Myanmar doesn't collect the data on the registration status. This will just equally stay blank here. So let's just go back. Another interesting function, what you can do, you can, for example, compare two products. So you see an overview of a product that has been here, in that case, registered in Myanmar, and one that is supposed to be registered in Thailand. Then what else? You can, of course, as well configure that view. I can just quickly show you that. So here you could show that you want to, for example, show more details on the first page on all of the data that is in the system on the product. So you would here show more details on that overview part. And then what I wanted to show you as well is the APIs. So APIs, remember, that's the software connection that will connect the system. So what you see here is an overview of, again, dummy data, but an overview of the national systems that had been connected to the regional database. And then here it's just an overview of the data that has been sent. It says all failed now because there is no connection yet. And you might have realized that it says not secure here, and that's the reason for that is that it's currently located on a test server, but it will be transferred to a normal server once it's deployed. And then a last interesting part that I wanted to show you here as well are the users. So here you can see an overview of all of the users that will be connected to the system. As I said before, the system will be restricted, will have restricted users. So there will be two types of users. There will be an admin and a super admin, and then that's just a backup. That's an IT, but there will be really those type of users. Admin will be the users from the countries that can send, that can see the data that is in the product registrations database. And then a super admin will be the users from ACE, who will have a bit more rights and who can, for example, also upload the data manually that comes through from the countries in case that API doesn't work. So that's just a quick overview. And let me just, I know I'm late, but let me just present my very last slide, please. So that's a very last slide, just to show you on what is actually there in terms of tools. If you need more general information on product registration systems, because I understand that to some of you the topic of product registration systems can be still quite new or confusing. There are guidance notes available that you can just download on the web page if you need a bit of more background information. And then if you, for example, would like to see on how the layout of a national product registration system looks, you can see that in the outline. If you don't have one, if you're a more advanced user already and have a more advanced knowledge already of product registration systems, you could click into the technical specifications on which the database is built. And then I just wanted to mention again, so if your country doesn't have a product registration system in place, there's also the prototype. I won't go into detail there right now, but I'm happy to provide any further information if needed on request. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patrick and Madeline. Ladies and gentlemen, I think all of you agree with me that this is very interesting and very excellent presentation, which provide us real information and knowledge about what is the output of the project between ACE and UNEP on the product registration system. One of the critical points that we recognize from the presentation is the importance of the data, the availability, sensitivity that we need to recognize, and we need to know what we need to do for that. On that, before we go to the discussion point, I would like to seek our colleague from UNEP as well, Mr. Victor Minguez and Mr. Somai, to present a presentation about transfer of the data from the national system to the regional system. Mr. Victor has more than 15 years experience on the energy engineering and climate related topic, as well as Mr. Somai also has experience on the energy efficiency related topic, especially for demand side management and other energy service. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Victor and Mr. Somai, please.
Thank you, Septia, and good day to everyone.
Before start, Mr. Victor, apologize to interrupt. You only have 5 minutes for your presentation. Thank you.
Yes, I'll be quick. Thank you, Septia. So this is just a refresher slide. As presented by Madeleine, there are currently national product registration systems that allow you, the ASEAN member states, to control what products are being sold in the countries. And what we have been developing is this regional database that collects the information. We have been working with the various ASEAN member states in the technical working groups to define what data points are going to be transferred, and the general look and feel of the application, functionalities, etc. So, as Septia mentioned, it's very important to transfer this data. How? So obviously we rely on the data that exists in the national systems, and it's important to be able to transfer this data to generate this regional information, because that can bring the advantages that Madeleine mentioned. So next slide, please. I'm going to talk a little bit about the advantages, the benefits of installing the API. So of course, the first and most obvious one is automation. So it provides the information automatically so once a product is registered in one of the ASEAN member states system, very quickly that's transferred into the regional database and reduces the workload for everyone, for the ASEAN member state and not for ACE as the manager of the regional database. Of course, it's an efficient way to do things, because once the APIs are set up, the running cost is minimal. There's no manual interaction. It also provides the benefit of reliability. So there is no human interaction or manual uploads, although we have provided that option, but we really encourage the ASEAN member states to work with automated system with an API, because of course the data is automatically transferred and there's no human error associated with that. And perhaps a more intangible benefit is it's that it creates a sense of unity. So by having a regional database where the products from all the ASEAN member states are there, and you as regulators can access and see and get notifications about the changes in the status from products in the region, that brings, of course, the ASEAN member states well, much closer, let's say, on this topic. Next slide, please. So regarding the instructions and effort, of course, you may be wondering now, okay, but what does it mean for us? Are we going to have to redo the whole product registration system that we have in our country? And the answer is no. So what we have done is to develop a set of instructions based on a rather recognized standard, Open API, which defines all the characteristics, data points, the format under which the data is being transferred, the connection security, etc., for the IT developers. So that's really the blueprint for the IT developers to create that API in your national systems, which serve the data to the regional database. We will have examples already implemented in the regional database, so it's also possible to see how that's implemented. And perhaps now the most interesting point for the ASEAN member states is, okay, what effort is required from our side. So of course, you would need to have a developer that is familiar with the national PRS infrastructure and database. Of course, well, it could be done with someone who's not familiar, but of course it would take longer for them to understand the existing infrastructure. We estimate about a 1 work week for the developer. Why? Because it's, I mean, of course you can take it longer and you can integrate it in the existing PRS, but really the API is a piece of software that can run in your servers in parallel to the PRS. You don't need to upgrade the whole PRS. Just develop an API, so a software that runs in parallel, that can access that database that exists in for your national system. Yeah, so that's there are even solutions for low code or no code API development. So it may sound like complicated for someone who's not in the IT world, but API development it's quite common. So yeah, that's my presentation. I would like to pass the turn to Samai, my colleague Samai.
Thank you, Victor, and also thank you to Dr. Septier. I just would like to highlight a few points of the sustainability of the regional database. So what next after we launch them and we put them in operation? So the first thing that we would like to request, a strong collaboration from our ASEAN member state, that would be, we need to have a commitment to provide regular data sharing. So at least once a quarter that we would expect the data to be shared from the national system to the regional system. The main reason is that some products, they are going to expire in a very short period. If you look at the mobile phone, they probably expire in about a quarter. Lighting product may end up in the same, situation with the LED technology. So at least once a quarter, the new data should be fed to the regional system. The second point that we would like to point out is each country, they would have some sort of agreement with the local industry when they register into the national product database. So if the AMS agree to share the national database to the regional, it is important that the country inform the local industry that the data that are going to be in the system, some part of it will be shared with the regional database. And this is very important, to create, to show integrity of the system in the country and also at the regional level. The last point that I would like to stress would be during the project, we have received a great collaboration and support from the member of the technical working groups and also the policy working group. So after the project, we would expect the country to nominate focal points so that the regular data sharing can be sustained, and also the regional database will be, useful, for in the long term. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Victor and Mr. Somai, for a very good point out here. Of course, for example, for the first bullet point, data is very critical. However, we need to consider also the internal situation within the country level, also the regional level. That's why we would like to have the next section on the discussion or the panel discussion point. I have a lineup of speakers here or the panel. Okay, thank you. It's shown out on my screen now. First, we have, of course, Patrick Blake from UNEP, as earlier mentioned, for the presentation of the development of the PRS project. We also have the technical working group members, which always guide ACE in coordinating and communicating with the UNEP U4E. We also notice not all members are available, but we really recognize and acknowledge strong support from the 10 member states for the development of the projects. The available members that confirm for having discussion with us today, first, Ms. Hafiza Ayub. She is the chair of the TWG for PRS project, is now Senior Assistant Director of Energy Commission of Malaysia. Mr. Yop, Ms. Yop, may I have your camera? May I seek you to open the camera, please?
Hi.
Thank you very much. Second, we have Director Nang Lin, Ms. Nang Lin, the Director of Energy Efficiency and Conservation Department, Ministry of Planning, Finance and Industry of Myanmar. Ms. Nang Lin. I noticed you have a connection issue before. Might check with Ms. Aikai.
Hello.
Okay. Hi, Ms. Lin. Thank you very much. Just want to check. Next, we have Mr. Chua Hock Chuan, Senior Engineer, National Environment Agency of Singapore. Hi, Mr. Chua. May we see you, please? Your voice.
Hi. Hi, can you see me? Hi.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chua. And lastly, we have Mr. Leba Viet Ba, Senior Officer from Department of Energy Efficiency and Sustainable Development, Ministry of Industry and Trade, Vietnam. Mr. Leba, may I have your
talking, yes.
video and voice? Perfect.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Leba. Because of some internet connection issue with one of our member, maybe later I will just seek you to open your camera when you answer the question. Is it okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to go for the first question. Maybe, of course, a lot of things we already experienced together when we having this project since last year. I would like to know the feedbacks from the members regarding the development of the project, the PRS project, the perspective from your country, the national development and national discussion, and your opinion for the regional PRS development, for the future development. Of course, a lot of things we need to do for improvement from the current project that we already established. I would like to go first with Ms. Hafiza, please.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so for this regional database, actually Malaysia already have our product registration database, or we call it the national database. In our database, we publish all the current certificate of approval holders for the 199 categories of electrical equipment that we regulate is either safety or performance. So in our database, we provide data to them for them to cross-check whether the product is certified, is it complied with the safety element, and so on. And also the database also publish the energy efficiency information so that they know how help them to do comparison before they decide to go to buy the electrical appliances. All products that in our regulation, the 199 categories that we regulate, the product must get our approval before it can be sold in the market. So all of them are required certificate of approval. So what our current struggles right now is having the product sold online, where the product is direct from the overseas. Okay, so some of them do not have our permit. We hope that we can overcome this problem. So this regional database is very very useful to us. Not only the energy efficiency information, but we do hope it can be expanded to the safety as well, so that we know if the product is considered not safe in other countries, we could also take actions to prevent it from coming to our country. Whenever we want to develop our new policies, or we want to introduce new energy efficient appliances to be regulated, we will do the market assessment. So it's a frequent activities. I mean, we do the market assessment, especially for the energy efficiency, so that we know what is our current saving out of the energy appliances that already sold in the market. I do hope that this database, when we know that the products were revoked from one country to another country, it could help ourselves to prevent it from coming to our country as well. And I hope that with this regional database that we are developing right now, we are creating what in this current situation, COVID-19 situation, we creating a herd immunity, so that our region, ASEAN region, is preventing from having inefficient products from coming into our region, so that we can move from this what we call inefficient market to the higher efficient level market. So we do hope that this project will success, so that we can create the environment of energy efficient, or I would like to use this herd immunity, as now we are in the COVID situation. So it is something that we are preventing our region from having inefficient products into our market.
Well, thank you very much, Puan Hafiza. I like your comment mentioning about the herd immunity. I think that's also suitable about what we are doing now. The PRS could be one of our weapons to establish the herd immunity for the region, especially enhancing energy efficiency for the region. May I go to Ms. Nanglin, please? May we have your feedback regarding the project and also your perspective from the country level, please?
Hello, Mr. Satir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well, Ms. Nanglin. Please, Ms. Nanglin.
Thank you. I cannot switch on my camera because of connection. Regarding the PR system development in the regional as a regional database, this program is really useful and benefits for our country, especially we don't have such kind of registration systems and new regulatory framework for the appliance standards. So that is why it's really useful. And according to our country situation, it's also ongoing process to adopt the standard and the regulatory process. And currently, we just collect the data from the market sale data and the company sale data. We just collect by the step-by-step collection process. So market survey is also not yet completed in our country. So as conclude my speech, this product registration system is really useful for our country, and we will move as ASEAN as long as ASEAN go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Lin. We noted a lot of challenges happen when we discuss the development of this project, but the bottom line, we noted this really important stepping stone for us to be able to enhance more energy efficiency plans in the region. Thank you very much, Director Nailin. May we go to Mr. Chua, please. Mr. Chua, I have your feedbacks and inputs.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay. Yeah, just maybe just to share that I think similar to Malaysia, we also have a national product registration in place where we require the suppliers to register the goods with us. And for us, right, we actually publish selected energy performance information on our ELS portal, and it's actually available to the public for them to actually review and look. Whenever they want to purchase any appliances, they can actually go to the website and search how many dates or certain models, depending on their requirement. So I think this regional PRS system is pretty useful for us to know what kind of products are being supplied in our neighboring ASEAN countries. Yeah. So but I think for us at the moment, because our system is undergoing a technical refresh, so we can only support the regional PRS through the manual process. Maybe I want to understand following the meeting what kind of follow-up actions is required on the manual process to actually support the regional PRS. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chua. We noted the development of the current initiative for Singapore, and Singapore ready to support regional database system, as you mentioned. Well noted on that. May I go to Mr. Lebao, please?
Okay, good afternoon. As you know, thus in Vietnam we have the data system already, and my colleagues before share with you about how different between the our system and with the original system, data system. And moreover, now we still not make a consultation with the relevant stakeholder, for example, another ministry, and especially make consultation with our customer, our company in Vietnam, because we don't know are they ready to provide the data to the region, and very difficult for us right now. And moreover, to know more detail about this system, I think maybe this project should develop a brief brief description of this project about the data system, about how to control the data and the mechanism for the share data in each every member country. So maybe after that we will have time to study and submit to my boss to the considerable this project, and also we maybe soon later we maybe we should have make a workshop with some company, so that we know they are ready or not ready to participate this data system. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leba. You point out the need for the brief description of the data system, and also we need to tackle the sensitivity issue restriction other by having more discussion. I think that's very good and very relevant point. Talking about this important aspect about the data, the system, I would like to go to Patrick. Maybe it's a bit detailed. I would like to know, because all of us recognize the importance of having PRS into the system in ASEAN. And what if, for example, a country like they have concern to develop and don't know how to utilize or maybe to install, and what should be the country's install, for example, on the API that we already presented before. Maybe Patrick, would you like to have answer on that, please?
Thanks, Satya, and thanks, colleagues, for the feedback. Yeah, as far as the API, we went over it, of course, very quickly today, just due to time. But we do have available, and we'll share more detailed instructions of how to install the API, which will be useful for the IT colleagues of how to go about that. And happy to have discussions and bilateral, if helpful, with you to go over that. And I think the point raised as far as workshops is with the manufacturers would be helpful in order to ensure that they're on board as one of the main stakeholders within this. So so certainly that's something we can support from our side as well. And as far as understanding, I heard from Singapore and others on different national circumstances. So certainly happy to discuss with you an understanding on a manual database that would be different than an online system. So perhaps in the meantime, we can do something as a stopgate in order to share information on an annual basis. Back to you, Satya.
Thank you very much, Patrick, and fully noted on your point regarding the importance of the more knowledge about the API and other, including the discussion with manufacturers that point out by Mr. Lebach before. Ladies and gentlemen, because of we really want to have more and more discussion, deep dive into this issue. First of all, I'd like to thank you, our lineup of the speakers, also of the panelists today, for having very good discussion and share knowledge with our colleagues from the ASEAN member states. Of course, the product registration system is very far from perfection, but more guidance and support needed from the high level and also from bottom-up level to shaping the product, so then it can support as the herd immunity for us in applying more energy efficiency. Thank you very much for the interesting discussion that we have. We take note some important benefits of the PRS based on the presentation earlier. First, of course, the visibility of the products that allow us for the country needs, for example, selling and others, and then notification of new products in other countries, so we can know each other, what is the progress, what is the help that we need from the other country to each other. It's aligned with our spirit on the friendship of the ASEAN. And we also would like notice the notification of product will revoked in other countries, and it will enhance the application and support for the mutual recognition agreement for ASEAN. From discussion, we noted some also key points from the TWG members, also from UNEP. We really need a high-level support, for example, from the ENCSSN or even from SOME or AMEM, for bringing up this support to backing up the development of the regional database to enhance more and more the current PRS into the next level. we noted the access to the database is restricted to the energy ministries or regulators and ACE for the current project. And of course, we need more and more feedbacks from you to enhance that also. And overall, from the ASEAN Center for Energy, would like to thank you for the very good participation from all audiences and all the speakers and panelists for session 1 on product registration system. We will have very interesting discussion as well on session 2 that will be led by my colleague, Dr. Zulfikar Yunadi. That's all from me from session 1. I would like to thank you everyone again. Back to Nella, please.
Thank you very much, Septia, for your help as the moderator for the first session. I guess now we'll have a virtual break for about 10 minutes, so we will back 15:40. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second session of the workshop, Realizing the Shift of ASEAN's Markets to Energy Efficient and Climate-Friendly Appliances. Continuing the agenda, now I would like to invite Dr. Zulfikar Yurnaidi. He is the Senior Officer of the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Department. He will now lead the second session on ACE UNEP U4E cooperation projects, energy efficient, lighting and appliances in the ASEAN region.
Hey, thank you very much, Nela, for the kind introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the second session of the ACE UNEP U4E workshop today. And in the second session, we're going to have a discussion mainly on the cooperation projects of the energy efficient lighting and appliances in the ASEAN region. So we're going to have 3 presentations today. The first one is we're going to discuss more about the project between ACE and UNEP U4E, especially on the lighting national roadmaps. So as you might know, we already developed drafts of the national lighting roadmap for the whole 10 ASEAN member states, and we already shared the draft to you. And for some countries who already provided their feedback, we already provided the second version of, and for some other countries who had country by country discussion directly to us, we also have the third version ready. And we're gonna discuss more about that, what would be the background of the national lighting roadmap, which is a derivation of the regional lighting roadmap that we have together in ASEAN, and what is the current status and what would be the next steps that we would like to have in order to have this national lighting roadmap really implemented in the countries. And following that, we're going to have also some discussions on the modeling of the energy efficient appliances in ASEAN. So this is a new topic that have been developed by ACE and UNEP U4E starting from early this year. And we're going to have David Wellington from UNEP U4E to present the idea of that modeling. And then later on in the panel session, we also have our own internal modeling team from ACE to discuss about how it can be related to the ASEAN energy outlook. And then we're gonna have the summary of the upcoming activities and opportunities, which can be further pursued by the 10 ASEAN member states together with ACE and UNEP U4E. And then we're gonna have also the moderated discussions, and we're gonna discuss in more detail, and you can have your own questions, your own comments and inputs to the national lighting roadmap, the modeling of energy efficient appliances and other follow-up activities between ACE and UNEP U4E for the benefit of the ENCSSN of ASEAN. So I think without further ado, I would like to move to the first presentation. It's about the final version of the lighting national roadmaps. And we're gonna have 2 presenters in here. First is from Bintang Widana. He is the technical officer in the Sustainable Energy, Renewable Energy, and Energy Efficiency, or RE Department of ASEAN Center of Energy. He's working in various projects in energy efficiency in the region, including this UNEP U4E, but he also worked on the CSBF projects and also in the IEA Sustainable Cooling and Building Roadmap projects. And the second, we're gonna have Madeline, which is also coming from the UNEP U4E, which presented briefly in the PRS project in the first session, and she will also discuss more the details on the work between ACE and UNEP U4E in the national lighting roadmap. So I will give the floor to Bintang to start his presentation. So Bintang, you may turn on your mic and your video and start your presentation.
Yes, please wait a minute. There's still some lagging for the opening the presentation. I'm currently still trying to share the presentation.
So while waiting for your presentation to load, just a kind reminder that you and Madeline have 10 minutes to share. Thank you.
Okay, wait, Mr. Rizal, is it okay if I start? Okay, yes, then I will start then. So this is about the realizing the shift of Asian market about today's workshop. The aim of the context of the project is for now to provide clear guidelines in the adoption of policy to promote the use of efficient lighting products, and also to define the target to be achieved by all Asian countries in achieving regional harmonization in 2023. Through this objective, the Lighting Regional Policy Roadmap will contribute to the APEC's outcome, that is to reducing the energy, and the Regional Policy Roadmap itself is a direct responsive to the APEC specific objective to reduce this energy by 5 to 10% in the residential sector. So as said before, we are continuing this project from the last APEC phase 1 to the phase 2. We already have a very good reduction here by 2021, surpassing our current target, that is by 1%. And we already have a regional policy roadmap, MRA, announced at the 37 AMM in 2019. Also about the market transformation in favor of energy efficient technologies, most likely to expand to include also motors, transformer, and the like. In the regional lighting roadmap, the harmonization of test methods are currently only at the moment. That is the CIA SO25, IEC 62612, and the CIA 084, and the IEC 681. This is mostly about the LED lamps. This is the current for the non-directional lamp for LED. You can see the feature and the requirement in here. So we still included the rated of power up to 60 watt with the lamp cap as listed in the IEC, and the lumen range is still below the higher than the 130 lumen. For the other type, that is the liner lamps and the liner lamp fluorescence also, we comply to the same IEC. And for the requirement, that is the length for the liner lamps is 550 millimeters to 1,300 millimeter. And also for the liner lamp fluorescence, we also comply to the standard of the IEC 681. And for the regional roadmap, as said before, we already have an MRA, and will be evaluated and for the feasibility of incorporating the energy performance testing in the 2022. However, for the harmonization of maps that is in the regional, we are going to the 80 lumen per watt by 2023. This is the mandatory maps for all non-directional lamp and linear LED, and also the fluorescent lamp that is agreed before. And also for the testing infrastructure, we are currently trying to establish an appropriate framework for round-robin testing, staff skill training, and evaluation process for testing facility by 2022. That is all from me. From here, I can give it back to Ms. Madeline, please.
Thank you very much, Bintan. Let me just share my screen. Yes, okay. So I would like to now take you quickly through the national roadmaps and explain you quickly what has been actually the development process of the national lighting roadmaps. So as Bintan mentioned before, the idea of the national lighting roadmaps is really an implementation actually of the regional roadmap. And the regional roadmap that had been endorsed by the Asean Ministers of Energy meeting in September 2019. And then following to that, we started the project of the lighting roadmaps. We had that before mentioned workshop in Bangkok, where we had introduced a guide on how to develop national lighting roadmaps, and where we have also introduced a template on how to do that. And then from that, really the process has started. So we had a call to make sure that we have well taken account all the existing the existing regulations on lighting that are currently in place as a basis to build upon for the national lighting roadmaps. And then from there, there had been several versions of drafts, and just most recently we had follow-up polls with several countries to address individual questions. So here I would like to show you what's actually the structure of the roadmap. Sorry. So there's 7 main chapters. The first 4 chapters are rather introductory chapters, setting the vision, setting the goal, then explaining who will be the responsible ministry and the responsible government for the implementation of the roadmap, and then it goes really into the core chapter that is the action and measures, and that really should lay out the implementation of the regional roadmap as Bintan just explained. So, for example, what we have a chapter here on policy and project management, on the maps, of course. So most of the countries will aim at implementation of 80 lumens per watt. There will be some countries that are more advanced, as they have already some regulations in place that will take a bit of a higher level. Then other chapters on testing, MDNE. There's, as you might suppose, there's also the database, the product registration database, part of that, and then supporting policies and closing chapters. So in here, just a quick overview of where we stand actually. So from Thailand, we heard recently very good news. Thailand has approved the roadmap recently by the DED. We're very pleased to hear that. Indonesia has decided to enlarge the roadmap due to a national project that is in place in Indonesia. Singapore, there have been also some follow-up questions, so we just submitted a 3rd version. And for the other countries, there had been some small follow-ups. So we are in 2nd versions, or the 1st versions that have been sent through were fine. And then in that context, what I wanted to mention to you is actually the model regulation guidelines that can help you to implement the policies, and of which you might have heard already. What they are, so they are a U4E tool, and they're really intended as a guideline to help inform regulatory authorities and policymakers. And what we have on lighting, so there are 3 documents. There's one model regulation on general service lamps, one just recently released model regulation on linear lighting, and then one supporting document that helps for the implementation and explains a bit the context. And we haven't done those documents alone, but there had been a large range of stakeholders, governments, manufacturers, of some of which are online today. Well, so a very helpful document, and feel free to consult it on the webpage. And then as a very last slide, I just wanted to show you a quick snapshot of the saving potential to convince you of finally implementing lighting policies if you're not convinced yet. And that analysis, it is really based on a model, on a U4E model that the next presentation will actually explain more in detail. But here, just an overview of what we estimate the savings with that model is. If you would implement lighting policies, you could save with that forecast up to 5 terawatt-hours with a minimum ambition scenario, and even more with a high ambition scenario. Thank you. That is all from my part, and back to the moderation.
Thanks for a great presentation. I think it's quite clear from what has been shared by Bintang and Madeline that this work in the National Lighting Roadmap has been going through long way and process, starting from the AMEM 2019, where we have this regional lighting roadmap, and based on that, ACE is actually tasked to develop the national lighting roadmap as follow-up activities of that regional lighting roadmap. And last year in the AMEM 2020, the AMEM also recognized the activities between ACE and UNEP, UNEP U4E, also in this national lighting roadmap. And we also heard from Madeline that out of 10 AMS, we have several progressing roadmaps that we have with the countries. For example, Thailand already officially endorsed our national lighting roadmap. Indonesia proposed some additional activities, and we have the third version sent to Singapore just a couple days ago. And I would like to, on behalf of ACE, I would like to urge and push the countries to provide that feedback to us so that we can really optimize and utilize this national lighting roadmap as a derivative of the regional lighting roadmap and push the energy efficiency activities in each of 10 ASEAN member states. So further discussion will be on the reserved for the panel session. And I would like to move to the next session right now in the modeling impact of energy efficient appliances in ASEAN. As mentioned, this is one follow-up activity developed by ACE and UNEP U4E for us to really assess what will be the impact if we have this higher energy efficiency appliances in ASEAN, not only in the lighting that we are currently working on, but also in air conditioning and other appliances. Without further ado, I will flip the screen to Mr. David Wellington.
Thank you very much, Zulfikar, and thank you everybody for having me today. Next slide, please. So just quickly what I'm going to talk to you about today, I'm going to give you an overview of the country savings assessments that we undertake at U4E, and then talk quickly about what those look like currently in the ASEAN states. And then finally, I'll introduce you to the current collaboration with ACE to update those savings analysis. So there's kind of three parts to the presentation. Next slide, please. So the country savings assessments are designed to highlight the benefits of adopting the U4E model regulations that Madeline mentioned in the last presentation. And they do that by quantifying the potential to save electricity through implementing those regulations. We look at the 5 products that U4E focuses on. We selected those because they're using more than 50% of the world's electricity. And the aim is to highlight the many benefits of implementing energy efficiency strategies as shown there. So obviously the primary one is the energy, the electricity, reducing the consumption, but also there's benefits for peak loads. And ultimately, if you save enough electricity, clearly there's the benefit of reducing the need for additional power generation capacity. But of course, the knock-on effects are both financial and environmental. So you have savings, financial savings to governments, industry, commerce, and consumers. And of course, there are environmental benefits of lowering CO2 and other emissions. And the aim of the process really is to give policymakers an overview of the potential and various levels of detail depending on what policymaker you're speaking to. And so we present the results in 3 ways. We have an overview, which sort of highlights how the savings split between the 5 products. And then we have more detailed reports on 3 areas: cooling, lighting, and equipment. Next slide, please. So the way that the models work, I mean, clearly electricity is the driver of the model. We use a range of techniques to estimate the total electricity used from each of the products in the most recent analysis, between 2020 and 2040. We do it in various different ways, the details of which we can talk about if you're interested. But the aim is to project the savings under different scenarios. So there are 3 scenarios: the business as usual scenario, and in that we assume that no policy interventions are made. So things just stay as they are now, what will happen into the future. Then the second scenario is what we call minimum ambition, and this assumes that MEPs are introduced for all 5 products at a level specified within the U4E model regulations. And finally, we have a higher ambition scenario where MEPs are introduced at a more stringent level. So these are kind of quite ambitious MEPs by today's standards. And we look at the savings. And what you see there as you project on the graph out into the future are those three scenarios: the business as usual in grey, minimum ambition in blue, and high ambition in green. And just as an example, we have a model that estimates how many products are installed over time for cooling, so refrigerators and air conditioners, and we also project over time how the efficiency of those models and the annual energy consumption of them in the three scenarios. And if you know how many there are into the future and you know how much energy they're going to use, that's how you build up that picture of savings across the whole country or the whole region. Next slide, please. Next slide, there we go. As I mentioned, so there are a number of outputs. The top one is an overview, and this aims to summarize how the savings work across all 5 products. And it's really a way of looking at a top level of where the greatest savings potential lies. Then there are product-specific reports, one for cooling, one for lighting and equipment, and that shows if you're specifically interested in that product, where the opportunity lies. And then finally, we can use the country results, gather them together to create a regional report. And that's what we're aiming to do with ASEAN over the coming months. Next slide, please. Each report presents the results in a slightly different way, but there's some commonality. So always on the front page, you have a summary of the headline figures, the headline savings. Next slide, please. And then deeper into the report, the results are presented in much more detail. So the savings are shown in a number of ways. How the various ambitions change, what the savings are, how it's between the different products that you might regulate, how they change over time, and then in the regional, and then how they change by country in the regional report. Next slide, please. Yeah, and then finally, the report, it's quite important this for transparency, and also so that we can get feedback from countries. The final pages highlight the assumptions that we've taken in the process and also give a very brief description of the methodology we've used. So those are the reports, and they're all available already. Next slide, please. If you're interested in looking at them, all you need to do is visit the U4E website. There's a page there where you can click on the link on this website, but it's pretty easy to find if you Google U4E country savings assessments. I've clicked on Indonesia here for you, and there's 2 ways you can look at the results. If you click on the little blue box, next slide please, to a website version of the results, and again it's presented as an overview, or the savings are presented by each of the 5 products. Or on the right hand side, if you click on the little links there, next slide please, you get taken to a opportunity to download the reports themselves and take them away from you and print them off and use them. That only links to the overview and the product slides. It doesn't do the regional report, but we can show you how the ASEAN results look currently when joined together over the next few slides. So if we could move on, please. So this shows the same graph again, but this is showing the results. And it's also the graph that Madeline showed for lighting. It shows the results over time for all 5 products. As you can see, the introduction of regulations in 2020 was expected to make considerable reductions in electricity use. And in fact, by 2040, the annual savings are estimated to be nearly 200 terawatt hours a year in the minimum ambition scenario, and over 300 if you were to adopt across the member states more ambitious regulations. And of course, you can see on the right hand side there the other benefits too. So there's reductions in CO2 emissions, electricity bills, ultimately, as I said, the need for additional power generation capacity. Next slide, please. We can look at the data in a number of ways, and in fact, the regional report shows a lot more detail on this, but there's a couple of examples. This is the graph that shows how the savings are, so how the savings build up. So it's the line between the grey and the blue lines on the previous graph, how those split between the different member states of ASEAN. As you can see here, Indonesia has the greatest potential for absolute savings, followed by Vietnam and Thailand and so on. But remember that these are absolute values, and if you look at the savings as a proportion of the national electricity use, then the opportunity for savings as a percentage is much more similar across all the different countries. It's not exactly the same, but it's much more similar. Next slide, please.
So these are the same savings, but this time presented as how the savings split between the 5 products that we model. And I'm sure you won't be surprised to see that the savings potential, the greatest savings potential, comes from air conditioning into the future, because we all know that air conditioning is going to increase massively in the coming decades, and so there's enormous potential there to save electricity. But again, it's important to note that for each of the 5 products, there are very significant electricity savings available if you look at them individually, which of course you can do in the report, and the regional report will have much more detail on all of this when we publish it. Next slide, please. So looking at that, as I say, that's a summary of the work that we've done to date, and those reports are all available to review on the website now. But we're always looking to improve the analysis, and I'm very pleased that I've got the opportunity to work with ACE over the next few months to update the work specifically for the ASEAN states. As you all know, ACE has a very strong record of modelling energy demand in the region, and so our plan is to work together and to bring together our experience and the various data we have, hopefully collect some more, and our expertise on the markets to develop an improved regional savings assessment, but also we'll have new updates of the country savings assessments themselves, the individual country ones. We started on the work early this year, and in summary, what we're planning to do is to rebuild them. Well, first of all, the first job was for me to rebuild the models slightly so that they run from 2021 instead of 2020, and also we've made a couple of improvements on things that we've learned over recent months, and then we have to gather data to refine the analysis and validate the results. And once we've gathered all that data, I will use that to update our assumptions, and then we will get new saving projections from which we will pull together a regional report and publish that. The other aspect of the process is that it's an opportunity to give the ACE team a deeper understanding of the modelling that we do at U4E and the approaches that we used. That will give them the opportunity to build any aspects of it into their own modelling. If it's appropriate and when it's useful, they'll have some insight into what we do so that they can move it across to their own modelling as they need to. I'm currently working on the updates, and we're starting the data collection plans with my ACE colleagues. The grey box over to the right gives you an idea of the primary sorts of data we're looking for in order to improve it. As I say, we're developing the data collection plan now, and it may be that we contact some of you for help. But in any case, if you think you have useful data to contribute to this process, we'd really like to know. The target is to have a regional report based on the updated analysis published by the end of May. And once it's complete, we'll obviously be sharing the results with everybody. So hopefully the outputs will be interesting and even useful to you in developing your energy efficiency strategies for these products. Yeah, so hopefully that'll all work well and we'll have something to show you by the end of May. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, David, for a very comprehensive presentations. So we've learned that some works have been done in assessing the potential saving from energy efficient appliances for ASEAN and also the member states. And just to explain again to our member states is that we are currently trying to update the analysis coming from the UNEP U4E with our data, and we are going to think about how we can combine this with our internal activities, including that of the ASEAN Energy Outlook, which probably we can inject some of the analysis into the upcoming AU7. And maybe in the panel discussion later, we're going to have our AU team to explain about what's the potential utilization of this model for our regional outlook, and how we can also have further discussion with ASEAN member states on what you think about this new modeling and how it can benefit the energy efficiency and conservation activities in the region. I think, thank you very much again. And I would like to move to the next presentation by Patrick Blake, Program Officer of UNEP, which is kind of summarizing the upcoming activities and opportunities which can be done by ACE and UNEP U4E so that we can further support the 10 ASEAN member states in their ENC activities. to you, Patrick.
Thank you, Zulfikar. Yeah, and as he said, we'll use this time to try to hold together some of what we've already heard as far as the ongoing and upcoming activities. So to really pull that together so you see it more as a package fitting together. So with that, please go to the next slide. Okay, so here you see an overview of some of the activities we've already discussed. And that includes the lighting national roadmaps, the product registration systems, the modeling work that David just discussed, but then also other additional activities that we are working on in Southeast Asia, including on the enhancement of air conditioner maps, development of a status report of refrigerators, and also sustainable public procurement. So here, I'll go into more detail on each of those, but to briefly just show that some of these activities, as I mentioned, have started last year and coming to conclusion this year, such as the product registration system. But also other ones starting now, and really look forward to your involvement. And also just to highlight that it's going across different products, so on lighting, refrigerating, equipment, and air conditioning, and also motors and transformers in the modeling work. Really trying to support your efforts on implementing activities across those 5 products, which are typically the higher consuming products in countries. Next slide, please. So to start out, as it's loading, on the air conditioner side, as David already highlighted, air conditioning really provides a large opportunity in Southeast Asia and in other countries as well. So here are the numbers broken down just for air conditioners, room air conditioners. So the savings opportunity of 144 terawatt hours, equivalent 66 power stations, and also you have the CO2 and electricity bill savings there. So of course, a very significant opportunity for your countries. Next slide, please. And on the air conditioning side, what we are supporting, so there of course is an ongoing initiative that ACE is active on the cooling seasonal performance factor. Through that, together with our partners at IIEC and also Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, we've have supported development of a comparative analysis report for air conditioners, and are supporting that as far as the technical recommendations within that linked to the U4E model regulations that Madeline briefly mentioned earlier on. Here, of course, on the air conditioner side. Through that, we also have availability to support the member states as far as technical support, and that's coming from the Kigali Cooling Efficiency Program and the Global Environment Facility. There, we can provide targeted training for what it means for to implement the regional agreements at the national level. So that's activities that are available throughout the remainder of the year. Next slide, please. So continuing on to the on refrigerators. So I've seen there's activities ongoing for refrigerators and, there's activities ongoing for air conditioners and also lighting. Refrigerators provide a good opportunity as far as the savings, an opportunity there. And so we are supporting the development of a regional report summarizing the status of policies and also the savings potential coming from the country saving assessments. So we hope that helps inform future activities on energy efficient refrigerators. And that's is progressing at the moment and would be completed later this year. Next slide, please. On sustainable public procurement. Sustainable public procurement is an activity that we've been working with a number of countries on. This is really an area that the government can show leadership in terms of energy efficiency, and in order through your own procurement to procure energy efficient products. So through that, we have started activities through a report with targeted guidance for what it means and some recommendations for government on sustainable public procurement. This is focused on the cooling, lighting, but also applicable to other sectors, including motors and transformers as well. So through that, we also have available and would convene support for individual countries, but also available at the regional level in Southeast Asia and also other regions in Africa and Latin America. This is with support from the UK government and also the Global Environment Facility. We look forward to partnering with ACE on this. Next slide, please. The last opportunity I would like to highlight is, so we've discussed a lot throughout today on different opportunities. And one area highlight for the member states is opportunities to receive support for implementation of these at the national level. And that's through the Green Climate Fund, particularly through the GCF readiness. So this is typically for policy support and technical assistance for things such as development of maps, public procurement, product registration systems. All these are the typical types of support that are available through the GCF readiness support projects. So through that, we have been active in development of other projects in Africa and Latin America. And that includes also a project in Southeast Asia in Lao PDR covering lighting, cooling products. But I also wanted to highlight another project from Central America, where we actually see 3 countries submitting one project as a regional project. So this would really allow for a coordinated approach to really support the regional activities that we see here. And of course, a lot of benefits to implement it in a coordinated and cost-effective approach by working together with other countries. So, to summarize, each country has access to $1 million per year. And this is through the National Designated Authority in each country. And U4E could support your efforts on this in development of the project, given the other projects and experiences we have. We can help assist in that. So with that, please do get in touch with us if you do have interest on development of such a GCF readiness project. So with that, that's the brief summary of the activities that we have over the last year, but also upcoming, and really look forward to working with you on this. Back to you, Zulfikar. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Patrick. It has been a very interesting presentation from you, and hopefully this is also useful for our ASEAN member states who are present today. So a range of activities that are currently being done between UNEP, U4E, and ACE, and also what we are planning to do in the next few months, especially leading to the AMEM 2021. And another thing is that the last slide in here is we have funding opportunities from Green Climate Fund, which can support us in readiness support, for example, development of maps and tables. And probably we can use our regionality approach to have like several 10 ASEAN member states to work together to develop these funding opportunities. And thank you very much again for Patrick. And if there are any questions coming from the countries, I think we can have some short Q&A session after the moderated discussions. you might ask some questions to ACE or UNEP U4E about all of these potential activities moving forward. But before that, I would like to move to the next panel's discussion session. And we currently have several key persons here, although we are also open for other participants from the floor if we have time for a Q&A session. So for today, as you've seen, we have basically two parts of discussion. The first is more on the national lighting roadmap, and the second is more on the modeling of energy efficient appliances. What I would like to propose is we start with some discussions on the modeling of energy efficient appliances first. So we're gonna have Sandy and David as the modeling team from ACE and also from the UNEP U4E to have short discussion on that matter. And then after that, we're gonna continue with the country's inputs and comments related to the national lighting roadmap, which have been developed together and reviewed together with the countries. So I think for the first part of this panel discussion, I would like to invite Mr. Sandy Fajrian, which is the technical officer in the Energy Modeling Policy and Planning, or MPP department of ACE. Sandy is a core member of the modeling team who is developing the ASEAN Energy Outlook 6 and also currently working on the 7 ASEAN Energy Outlook. He prepared some brief presentations. May I ask Sandy to turn on your camera and mic, please?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. So I think the first question that was, I'm thinking based on the presentation from the David is that they have this country assessment, and we also have this ASEAN Energy Outlook. So the first question, which I think you are currently preparing the answer to, is about like, what do you think the usefulness of that modeling to ASEAN and to the modeling work that we are currently having in ACE? And also, what would be the benefit that we can utilize those modeling results into the ASEAN member states? So I will give the floor to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zul. And that's a very interesting question. Basically, on the question on how these modeling activities can help with ACE on utilizing its regional modeling activities is because actually we are also starting the modeling from country basis. So we need to know each country's condition on energy system and then project the demand, and in the end we combine those into regional assessment. So of course, having a better understanding of each country's condition will help us on having a better resolution on each of the countries and the sectors itself with the better technical details. So maybe I will also help. I will also try to explain how this improved modeling approach can help with our regional assessment. And before I proceed with my presentation, maybe just a short introduction to the ASEAN Energy Outlook. So AEO 6 or is the sixth version of the ASEAN Energy Outlook, basically, which is an outlook co-developed by ACE and also the ASEAN member states in order to project the pathways into the regional target, which is UP5. And then in this presentation, I will try to explain how we currently do it and what kinds of improvement can this modeling approach with UNEP and U4E benefit us. So next slide, please. Yes, so currently for the 6th ASEAN Energy Outlook, this is actually the first time that we try to incorporate a technical assessment or bottom-up modeling, which we collect the data from the countries and we discuss them with each country's modeler, and we try to incorporate the official statistics or data that is available. However, there are still some limitations because first, this is the first time that we do it, and second is the engagement is maybe still limited at the time to statistician or energy modeler, which limits us to the knowledge of better technical details of advances that this project, this efficiency project discussed. So before we only have the residential sector that we can know about the technical breakdown. And there we can see the cooking, refrigeration, lighting, and air conditioning only for the technical background. However, for other building sector like commercial, we use econometric approach for the modeling, which limits the policy recommendation that we can do regarding the result. Next slide, please. Right. So based on our projection for 2025, which is the target year of APAIC, we see that buildings, which is the combination of commercial and residential, is the third largest in terms of energy demand in the region, which may not be seen as significant. Here, briefly, if we just see the big picture of the overall sector, however, it actually contributes to lots of energy intensity, energy efficiency increase that is needed to achieve the EI target of APAIC. Next slide, please. Right, so based on our prediction in AO6, we project that actually in 2025, in order to reach the EI reduction target of APAIC, energy intensity reduction, actually the building sectors play a key role, which is combined. Residential and commercial is the third sector that can contribute to the needed intensity reduction. Here, actually, we have some differences in the modeling result from before shown by David, I think, because actually from AO6, we projected that probably LED or lighting technology that can contribute to quickly reduce the demand. But of course, we can always be open for better inputs and technology recommendation. Maybe we were being too pessimistic regarding cooling here. Next one, please. And as the way forward, because after AO6, we also will plan to have AO7, which we will try to enhance the quality of the modeling for appliances and in-demand sectors. And before in AO6, as I mentioned before, we have some limitations in terms of data source because of the time constraint and also the engagement limitation. But in AO7, I think for this project, it can be very useful. First, for the data resolution, which I think we can incorporate more into the model, and also some scenario, because before we didn't really have any strong backing for standardized for the region, but now we can incorporate it, the NEPS harmonization into the model and see where it can take the region forward for achieving the regional target. Right, I think that is all from me. Hopefully it can answer the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandy, for the explanation on what is currently being done in the Asean Energy Outlook 6, and also what it could be the plan for utilizing the modeling framework that has been shared before by David to the 7th ASEAN Energy Outlook. Probably one additional question, Sandy, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So you mentioned also about the data limitation in the 6th ASEAN Energy Outlook. So I would like to ask to you about what would be the challenges in data gathering, and what you think would be required from the 10 ASEAN member states which are currently available here, so that we can more improve the modeling for the 7 ASEAN Energy Outlook.
Okay. Regarding the data collection process, as I mentioned, because basically we have limited details on the data before, but if in now with the learning gathered from this project regarding first the data collection and data sets that can be collected, as well as the engagement process, we can of course save the time regarding the data cleaning and collection, and also we can try to also ask around and review together with the experts and focal points that is more related to energy efficiency and appliances to cross-check if our assumption and data input is already accurate. So I think that is very useful for us to project the way forward.
Thank you very much. So I think this engagement with countries would be very important, and we do hope in the build-up of the 7 Asian Energy Outlook we can have closer collaborations with countries regarding this data, so we can produce a more detailed and more useful modeling, especially through the 7 Asian Energy Outlook. Thank you very much, Sandy. And next, I would like to call David for some question as well. Could you? Yes. I think the question from our side will be based on your experience in working on this energy country saving assessment. We know that it has been done previously as well in more detail to the African country. So what do you think would be the lessons learned that you can share with us on how, when you develop the model there, what not only in developing, but also like how they later on utilize the results, and how it can be lessons learned, and how it can be like potential benefit for the ASEAN member states?
Okay, yeah. Why don't I start with the benefits, and then we can go into how we went about it and the lessons learned from the AFREC process. So the AFREC relationship was led by a chap called Rashid Ali Abdullah. He's the executive director of the African Energy Commission. And I think his main aim at the start was that he felt that many of the states in Africa didn't have a good idea about the amount of electricity that was being used in different product types, and also specifically didn't really have any idea what the potential to save energy was by implementing regulations. And in fact, so that's how we started, and we picked the Southern African region, SADC, Southern African Development Community, to run the analysis. And we picked that because we felt they probably had the best data of the region, possibly North Africa, but SADC was available and willing to participate. The aim was to give some clear indication to policymakers in the region of the potential here. And actually last week, Mr. Ali Abdullah was a presenter on the IEA's, the big conference on energy efficiency, the Energy Efficiency, Power and Climate Action conference last week, and he spoke about this. And he said, you know, the African institutions really don't understand the savings potential, and the development of this SADC report. I think I'm going to try and quote him. He said something like, it gives us the evidence, and it gives a real impetus to the discussions on pushing forward the energy efficiency agenda in Southern Africa. So I think what he's saying there is that the real thing here is it really opens people's eyes to the potential, and it's kind of the opening door. It's the getting the policymakers on side to to really start the process of down the path of looking at this properly. So I think that's their motivation, and I believe that he's saying it's already working, it's already happening, that they're using it in that way. In terms of the lessons learned, I mean, I think it's going to be different in every different place, right? So Africa has very little data, much less so than we have for ASEAN already. I think the process that we followed there was to, so AFREC has a focal point in every Ministry of Energy. It's normally the Ministry of Energy in the African states, and they acted as the data gathering point for us. And what they did was different depending on which of the 16 countries was doing the work. Some of them just gathered the data that they already had and provided that to us. Some of them went further. So some of them employed a local consultant to go out and gather data for us. And some of them had some conversations with key players in their market. So they spoke to utilities or trade associations, this sort of thing. Bear in mind that the data we're looking for really is in the realm of how many products are there already in use, how many products are being sold each year, what do those products really look like? What's the energy efficiency of those products? What's the energy consumption of those products? How do they break down between different sizes and shapes and so on? I think the lesson is that you have to allow time for data gathering, and you have to really pursue it properly, and that yeah, allocating someone specific to go out and get the data really helps. And so so the process itself delayed because COVID struck and everything became a bit more challenging. But I think I think that I think that you have to allow time, and you have to accept the fact that you will get better data, and any better data is going to improve the analysis. But also the data collection process provides an opportunity to highlight where you don't have good data and what data you might need to collect. So I think, yeah, I don't know if that's answered your question, but that's a summary of how the kind of African experience went.
Thank you very much. I think time is currently limited. I would like to move on to the next panelist. So I would check whether we have Dr. Supachai Sampao online to share some of his perspectives on the national lighting roadmap, especially on the experience working with ACE and UNEP U4E on the national lighting roadmap for Thailand. May I check with Dr. Supachai Sampao?
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much for joining. And yes, please.
Okay, for my opinion and in this project, I think it's very useful for PRS concept. I heard from Patrick back in a long time ago in Zhuhai, China. I met him and he told me about the concept of PRS to use in the ASEAN member state. I think it. I accept this concept, and for last year and in 2019, we have the PRS program conduct from the Asean Chai. You know Asean Chai program before that.
Thank you.
Program we have a lot of the work package as well as air condition, but some problem the program run very slow when we compare with ASEAN air conditioner. For Thailand, before the approved regional roadmap, in the past, Thailand don't have the standard of maps for lighting. In 2019, I and a colleague was study and make a survey, make a market survey and technical survey in Thailand market. We have a big problem because in Thailand we have a lot of model in the market, around 600 model in the market in Thailand. But fortunately, we have the pilot project from ECAT Thailand. They have the secondary data to include with the new data from DD. So we have 200 secondary data from ECAT, and we send 200 model to the laboratory to test and analyze the maps, before we write the Thailand regional roadmap.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Supachai, on your comments on the PRS. And we also would like to thank DED Thailand for their support in developing the National Lighting Roadmap. And thank you very much again for your kind support, Dr. Supachai.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Next, I would like to check with Indonesia whether we have Pak Hendro or Pak Supri here to share also the perspective on the National Lighting Roadmap. Yeah, maybe if we don't have Pak Hendro or Pak Supri ready now, may I move to Mr. Frankie Fu from Singapore. We would like to hear your opinion on the National Lighting Roadmap draft that we already discussed and have some discussions through email. May I request Mr. Frankie Fu to turn on the microphone and web camera?
Hello.
Yes,
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, actually, when it comes to this that national roadmap, I have one question: is that are we like working towards a regional target as well, whereby all the ASEAN member state country work towards the same standard? Because
yeah. Yes.
Each ASEAN member state will have their own unique circumstances and challenges. So I don't know how we are going to, how we plan if the ultimate goal is to work towards the same standard.
In answering that, so actually the main standards used in this National Lighting Roadmap is from the regional lighting roadmap, and so it is also a fact that for some countries, like probably Singapore, as you mentioned, some of the standards are already in place in Singapore, while for Indonesia, based on our discussion, they have these new appliances in lighting that not in the standard, not in the roadmap, but they want to add. So I think that kind of discussions is also possible. And according to the roadmap, there is also some discussion with the logical next step for us in this lighting roadmap.
Okay, so perhaps I can share about Singapore's experience in this pursuit for efficient lighting. Okay, since actually we first have these maps for non-directional bulbs. It was only first introduced in 2015. Then in 2019 we extend our program to other lamp types. But in the 2019 initiatives, we only have labeling measures. So to understand the market more first, hoping that in the near future we can set standards for this group of lamp types. So actually in the ASEAN plan for the action, the AAP-AEC 2016-2025 calls for harmonization of these EE standards of appliances such as aircon and lighting, especially in the residential sector. So in this regard, our focus is mainly on the residential lighting, those lamps or lighting products that are meant for general lighting, the residential lighting. So we have been working through this roadmap, right? I think you by now you also know that the lamp types that we focus on are mainly the non-directional lamps, those that are used for general lighting. Okay, so yeah, so that is all I have to share with regard to like our lighting roadmaps. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frankie. And I think we would like also to receive your feedback on the latest draft that we sent to you. And probably if needed, we can have a more detailed country by country discussion as what we have had with Thailand and Indonesia. And this is also another request for all ASEAN member states here. So to provide their feedback on the national lighting roadmap, and then we can have more detailed discussion so it can be fully utilized by your country's national lighting roadmap as well. I think that would be all. Thank you very much, all the panelists. Apologize that the time has been stretched quite a bit. So I think I will just move on to the next agenda, and I will give the floor back to our moderator, Ms. Nila. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zulfikar, for your assistance. Before I end this meeting, I would like to invite Dr. Pongpan Farasayan, EE and CSSN Coordinator, to deliver the first closing remarks.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you all once again. With the end of the workshop, on behalf of Department of Alternative Energy Development and Efficiency of Thailand as the EE and CSSN coordinator, I would like to thank all speakers, panelists, and all participants for your contributions and participations. I believe that we all have discussed and deliberated on various aspects of the regional database and the lighting roadmap, which will aid us all in collaborative improve each country's and our region's energy efficiency target. I hope that with the one of the speaker mentioned that the data is very important. So I hope that we, as ASEAN member country, will support and provide the support on the data, on the equipment and appliance for this project. We also expand on different appliance apart from air conditioning and lighting to refrigerator, motor, and transformer, for example. Last but not least, this workshop cannot happen without great collaboration among host country Brunei Darussalam, ACE, and UNEP, U4E, as well as all of the panelists. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciations to all of you for your hard work, and we looking forward to a future collaboration. I wish all of you a pleasant day and stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pongpan. For the second closing remarks, now I would like to turn over the microphone to Patrick Blake from UNEP U4E.
Thank you, Ms. Nala. And thank you everybody for participating. I know we've gone long, but it's been very great to have the different discussions and presentations from all the presenters. So really just again, very briefly, just to highlight, we saw in some of the presentations on the savings opportunity as far as electricity, as far as power plants, financial savings, and the activities as far as the product registration system and the lighting national roadmaps and the other activities we presented on are really the on-the-ground activities that will help support in obtaining these savings opportunities for you. So really encourage you, as you are doing, to continue to work collaboratively to implement those different activities, and really to stay in touch together with us, with ACE, and the other member states in order to ensure that those activities go smoothly and the sharing of experiences amongst all of us. So with that, I do wish to thank Brunei as our host for having us, and also DD as the chair of SSN as well. And in addition to ACE for the collaboration that we've had over the last years, and really very strongly over the last year. It's really, we really appreciate that collaboration and the strong regional approach that ACE has really brought to this work. So with that, I do wish to thank all the presenters and all the participants again for taking the time to participate today. Thanks. Back to you, Ms. Nella.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Nukia Utama, the Executive Director from ACE, to give the third closing remark.
Yes, thank you very much, Nella. I would like to thank for all participants, especially the panelists, the speakers, and also moderators for very nice active participation and your contribution to the workshop. I really hope that inputs and comments received during this discussion will be further developed and pave the way for utilizing energy efficient appliances in ASEAN. I wish to thank to UNEP U4E for the great support and excellent communication together with ACE during the past year, and for providing all efforts to support the APIDE, especially the APIDE Phase 2. And through this opportunity, I also congratulate the TWG member of the BRIS project led by Malaysia for your tireless effort in coordinating with ACE to align the national initiative to the regional. I'm very thankful for the support of the EENC SSN focal points for the guidance and support to all of us. And I firmly believe that this project's outcome could be considered a further momentum for the energy efficiency initiative success to achieve the AI target in Southeast Asia. And of course, I would like to thank the excellent arrangement from our hosting country, Brunei Darussalam. And on behalf of ACE, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and warm wishes to all of you. Stay safe and stay healthy. And of course, have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. Back to you, Nella.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nuki. And for the last closing remarks, I would like to invite Mr. Muhammad Rifki bin Hajisari, Head of ENC Unit, Sustainable Energy Division, Ministry of Energy, Brunei Darussalam.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nella and Dr. Nuki. I'm on behalf of EC Unit, Sustainable Energy Division, Ministry of Energy, Brunei Darussalam. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all speakers for their wonderful presentation. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate the engagement and commitment that you all have contributed to during this workshop. We can see that this workshop has been extremely proactive towards the EC projects taken place around our regions, and project cooperation on energy efficient lighting and appliances in the ASEAN. And we hope from this initiative, we can achieve our aspirational energy intensity target of 32% by 2025. Yeah, again, I personally wish to express my appreciation to all of you for your attention and staying up this late, sharing your experience and knowledge. And I hope you will have all have a good day, and hope to see you again in the near future. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our workshop today. On behalf of the ASEAN Center for Energy, thank you all for making time in your busy schedules to join us here in this afternoon. I wish everyone here a pleasant day and evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Nela.
Bye. Bye bye. See you again tomorrow. Malaysia.